What's up, bodyweight warriors? Welcome back to another follow along. Today we've got a long full body flexibility routine. There's going to be some active elements, some dynamic elements, some passive elements, some PNF. We've got a little bit of everything in today's routine, covering the shoulders, hips, hamstring, and hip flexors. You are going to need a band or a stick to perform some exercises in this routine, and of course the usual yoga blocks. Other than that, just some time and space, and let's jump into this one. Okay, so we're going to kick things off as usual from head to toe. We're going to start with some spinal mobilization. So both arms out to the side, the usual Lewitt technique to get things rotating and moving. We're going to inhale, lift one arm, palm facing up, reaching the hand out, other hand comes down. As we switch breath, we reverse that motion. So other hand comes up, palms up, other hand down, palms down. We're just going to do 60 seconds here. Nice breathing, getting the head, getting the shoulders moving. And as I said, today's video is going to include a bit of everything, really. There's going to be some hard components, some easier, some more relaxed stuff. And we're going to work, as always, head down to our toes. Primarily with the upper body, we're going to be focusing on our overhead flexibility, but there'll be a little bit of chest in there as well. So we're going to do a couple more of these on each side. Lovely. Shake it off. We're also now going to work just a bit more spinal flexibility as we're warming up with some lateral bending. So you can be sat, standing, doesn't really matter. We're going to kind of do the same thing. So as we inhale, we're just going to lean as far as we can over to one side. As we exhale, we're going to come back to the other. So this works quite nicely sat in a chair. Sat kneeling on the floor is great. If you're stood up, it's a little bit more intense, but same thing. Just working on feeling our spine flex side to side. We're going to get a bit of a stretch into the lower back. You can bring the hand overhead and reach if you want to make this a little bit more intense. We're just going to get everything moving. Think. One more on each side. We started with the left reaching over, and to the right. Okay, so as I said, we're going to focus on our overhead flexibility. So we're going to come into this kneeling position. Actually going to kind of mirror Molly a little bit. Reach the hands overhead, push the hips back, so we're into kind of a cat position, but we're just going to come up and down. So nice. As we inhale, we're going to try and drop the chest as much as possible, and as we inhale, we're going to try and keep the arms overhead, but just sort of pull the sternum in. So again, with our breath, we're going to do just 5, nice and slow. Nice big inhale. Exhale, pull the sternum in. We're just sort of feeling what range we have. Maybe just getting some more movement in the spine. So remember, joints act, muscles react. Beautiful. Okay, as I said, we're warming up. So we're also going to warm up the muscles that aid in shoulder flexion. So that's going to be primarily the traps. So we're going to warm up using some IYTs, which is basically we're going to try and create the letter I. So that's doing a lift directly overhead. We're going to lift in a Y position, and then finally in a T position. 5 lifts in each of these positions, just holding for a couple of seconds in each one. Start with the I, the hardest one. We're going to lift up, thumbs up as high as you can, back down. 5 of these. Reaching forward as well as up with the hands. And last one, number 5. We're going to move the hands out to a Y position, so just a little bit wider. It's going to make it a touch easier. Same thing, 5 lifts. 3, 4, and 5. And then when I come to a T position, so directly out to the side again, thumbs up, so we're forcing some external rotation. I'm going to lift 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's move a little bit of shoulder rotation or spinal rotation now, just to aid. I'm going to do a pec twist. So with that left arm, keep it out straight. We're going to twist into the arm, let the right leg drop over and pull ourselves around into rotation. So I'm thinking about driving my left shoulder down to the ground, but I'm thinking about pulling my shoulder blades back together behind me. Again, some nice deep breaths here. We're just going to do sort of 30 seconds per side. If you want to, you can do some PNF, so you can think about driving that hand down into the ground, contracting that pec, the bicep, front of the shoulder that's feeling a stretch. Nice big exhale, relax and try to turn deeper. Just another sort of nice deep breath here. And we're going to repeat on the same side. Okay, so swap sides, right arm goes out, same position, 90 degrees, left leg's going to lean over. Just think about pulling that shoulder back, just twisting as much as we can into that arm, so shoulder into the ground. Nice deep inhale. And again, that PNF rep if you want to, so press the hand down into the ground, contract that area of stretch. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm just going to exhale, try and twist a bit further into it. Again, just a couple of nice deep breaths. Beautiful. Right, as we take a little rest before the harder stuff, we're going to bring ourselves into a tabletop position. So work the final range here, which is shoulder extension. Hands behind us about shoulder width. Push the shoulder blades back and down. Lift the hips up. Pushing away from the floor. Hold for a couple of seconds. Come back down. The arms, want to keep them locked at all points during this one. We're going to do 5 in total. So a couple more. Really push away from the ground. And then as we come back down on this last one, we're just going to walk those hands back. Keep thinking about lifting the chest up. So a nice stretch over the pecs, over the biceps. Okay, so a little warm up, loosening the shoulders through rotation. A little bit working actively the traps. We're now going to do a harder combination to finally improve that overhead flexibility, but also the chest as well. So this is where you're going to need that stick or a band. We need something to fix the hand in place. So I forgot my band today, but I managed to find a very nice straight stick lying around in the woods. So we're going to come into that prone position again. We're going to grab our stick or band. We want to fix our hands at just outside of shoulder width. We're going to do 3 10-second maximum effort lifts. So grab that stick, grab the band, whatever it is that you've got. Head down, arms straight, arms locked. Feel the mid back working. And we're going to lift 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop it down, relax. It's a little bit harder. The stick's actually heavier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, 2 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maximum effort all the time. Just trying to lift as high as you can. Last one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to take 20 seconds here, but we're going to stay in the same position, kind of do the same exercise. Just now having the hands really, really wide. We're going to be able to do a full dislocating motion. We're going to do 5 repetitions, but I want it to be nice, slow. Don't rush these. Really try to maximally use as much range of motion as you can. So take a wider grip, head staying down. We're going to lift, let the shoulders rotate. So now I'm feeling a nice big pec stretch all the way down, touching the glutes, and then back. So big reaching up as high as you can with the hands, all the way down. Just 2. Go a bit narrower if you can do. It's 3. 4. And last one here. Nice. Narrow as you can. Number 5. Okay, we're just going to do a little stretch in the opposite direction just to loosen up. So we're going to take into a kneeling position now. We're going to take our left arm, we're going to thread it through, drop that shoulder down to the ground. Feel yourself twist, looking up to the sky. Again, some nice deep breaths. Try and move that hand a little bit further across if you can do. Last deep breath here. Come back up to the center. Take that right hand now, thread it through as far as you can. Drop the shoulder down. Follow with the head looking up towards the sky. Nice deep breath. Okay, that was reasonably challenging for a first exercise. That's kind of going to be the theme for today. We're going to do some dynamic, some active stuff, and then a nice challenging combination to finish. So we have done the shoulders now. We're going to move ourselves down, shoulders, and we're going to look at the hips, which is the key to unlocking the lower body. So let's start with the good old fashioned, the channel favorite, which is the hip swivel. Feet outside of shoulder width, hands behind, lifting the chest up. We're going to drop both legs to one side, chest remains forward, back to the other side. Try and keep that chest forward. We're just feeling the movement happening at the hips and lower back. We're going to do 10 in total, so 5 per side. Slide on the left side, this is 4 now. If you want to sort of gradually make this harder for yourself over the reps, we're just going to try and sit a little bit more upright as we twist from side to side. So, last few here. We're just warming things up, getting things moving. This is like, you know, the Lua technique for the upper body. This is the hip swivel is for the hips. So last one each side. And I want you to finish, not on the right hand side, we're going to finish on the left hand side here. We're going to finish in that swivel position. We're going to twist round into a 90-90. So front leg's coming straight out, bent this leg to 90 degrees. And I want you just to try and twist this torso. So the sternum's getting over that front leg. I'm going to hinge as far forward, thinking about rolling the hips until we get a nice stretch over this front leg glute. Right hand now, I'm going to try and twist as far as I can round into it. So I'm going to imagine that I'm going to get my right shoulder down towards my left knee. So I'm going to try and twist, open my chest up to the side. I don't want to twist all the way off the leg. I still want to remain on top of the leg. I'm going to find a nice stretch there. And again, as we get to kind of a max position, I want you to take some nice deep breaths and feel like you're breathing into the area of stretch. So feel like you're breathing down into this left glute. A couple of more nice deep breaths here. Okay, should be a good stretch into the glute, into the lower back. Then come back up, I'm gonna swivel over and we'll perform the same stretch on the other side now. So again, that 90-90 position, front legs bent to 90. We're gonna hinge forward, twisting over, feeling our sternum kind of going over that knee. Get to a point in which you feel a good solid stretch. And then we're gonna take that left hand and try and rotate over that front leg. I'm gonna try and think about getting my left shoulder down towards my right knee. Again, some nice deep breaths. Just breathing into that area of stretch. So I'm really trying to think about breathing down right into the base of my pelvis. I want you to try and work on consciously being able to just drop down deeper into it and feel yourself soften into this one as you're breathing. Last deep breath here. Okay. We're going to move to a kneeling position. And we're not going to go as wide as we would for something like a frog pose. I think sort of just outside of shoulder width. And we're going to let both feet sort of turn so they're on their sides behind us. So this is going to be called like a W sit position. So we can sort of feel like we can sit our hips down beneath our feet. You're going to want to use your hands to assist here because this can be like slightly intense. So all I want to do is imagine that you're pushing your hips back, trying to fill that space in between the legs, in between the feet, and then come back out of it. We're just going to rock backwards and forwards. We're going to take about a minute here, moving in and out. But we're just sort of trying to experience what that internally rotated position of the hips feels like. If you want to have some reference, we can grab a yoga block or something just to lower our hips down onto, rather than feeling like we're completely in midair. I find that certainly if people want to improve their hip flexibility, it's often one that is lacking. Okay, so last little rock here. Really push those hips backwards, try to sink down. Then you can come out of it. And now we're going to go into a frog pose. So I want you to take those knees, go as wide as you can do. We're going to come down onto our elbows. I'm just going to again rock back and forth to try to push those hips back. When we're in this position, we can think about doing some PNF. So I can think about trying to squeeze my knees down into the ground, holding for 10 seconds. So 10, 9, really building up like a good strong effort. 50%, 60%. 3, 2, 1. Big exhale. I'm going to take my hand, just help move those knees further out. So we always want to go deeper if we can do after a contraction. Again, sort of just rock in and out, get used to that new range of motion. I think we're going to do one more of those. So another 10 seconds. Squeezing the knees. Even trying to think about squeezing your feet into the ground can be slightly different in terms of sensation, like trying to push your feet down into the ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, use the hands, push those knees out, try to get a bit wider if you can do. I'm just going to sit in this new position for about another 10 seconds. The warm-up movements, we're going to repeat through external, internal rotation and this abduction, so this widening of the legs, but we're going to do a slightly more intense variation. So we started off with the left-hand side last time, so we're going to start with the left-hand side again. We're going to come into that 90-90 position, so left leg forward. But what we're going to try and do now is I just want you to imagine pushing this right leg back, so we're getting closer to straight. And then what we're going to work on doing is trying to roll this pelvis over. So similar to how we are twisting into this front leg, we're going to get that same action going, but because we've extended this leg now, we've got more hip rotation. So I'll try and just work on rolling over, going as far as I can do. Then I'm going to imagine I'm going to put my hand on this foot. I'm going to try and lift the foot up into my hand as hard as possible. So actively resisting the external rotation. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax a little bit and just roll that pelvis over a little bit more. We're going to do one more of those. So same thing here, try and lift that foot up into the hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And try to roll that hip over as much as you can do. Keeping this leg at 90 degrees, keeping the chest facing forward. Right, find that new maximum range of motion. We're going to hold it here. Try to get used to it just for another 10 or 15 seconds. Okay, we're going to do that same thing now on the right hand side. So we're going to shift round. Right hand side, we're going to be in that 90-90 position. So front leg at 90. We're going to push that left leg back as far as we can. And then we're going to work on just rolling our hip over. So this hip rolling is what is causing the rotation of this front leg. We're going to find ourselves in, our maximum level of stretch there for the moment. Hand on the foot. Going to lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to exhale, and then you're going to try and again just rotate more round on top of this leg. Take a couple of deep breaths here, and then we're going to do one more of those foot lifts. Okay, so lift again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And twist around, try and get yourself nice and comfortable. We're going to spend just another 10 or 15 seconds now on this new maximum position. Okay, let's relax that one. We're going to come onto our back. We're just to lie down. And now we're going to work that internally rotated position, but we're going to do so actively. So when you lift up your legs to 90 degrees, bent to 90 degrees, we're going to put both fists in between the knees, so our knees are around hip width. And then we're going to work on squeezing the knees together and trying to pull the feet out as wide as possible. Now, I'll warn you in advance that you're probably going to get some cramping. Absolutely fine, just shake it off. We're going to do 3 lots of 10 seconds, squeezing as hard as you can with the knees, and then trying to pull the feet out as wide as possible. So 3 reps, let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you didn't get some cramping, then maybe you're not trying hard enough. It's usually kind of the TFL, the side of the hip. 2 more. Squeeze together, lift out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it off a few seconds, and we'll do one last one here. All right, squeeze in, lift out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. All right. Finally, let's use that straddle position. We're going to move up from the frog, and we're going to move to what would be like a pancake. So we're coming to a standing straddle position. We're going to start kind of going as wide as possible. We're going to feel ourselves supported on the hands. I'm just going to let gravity drop us down into a bit of stretch. We're going to explore, see how that feels. We're then going to think about trying to do a similar contraction. So I'm going to squeeze my feet into the ground, feel the adductors, the inner thigh. I want to feel them contract. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to just lift myself up, so out of the stretch a little bit. I'm going to let one of them, both the legs slide out to a new maximum. I'm going to drop down again. Experience that new sort of maximum position. We're going to do another contraction. So squeeze those feet in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same thing again, just lift up. Let the legs slide out. Come back down. And we're going to spend just another 10 seconds here, sort of trying to get comfortable with our more max range. Nice deep breaths. This definitely is probably my maximum for the 5-degree weather that we're currently in. Okay, come into the center. We're going to shake it off a bit, move about, and then we're going to now move to the next section, which we've now opened up the hips. We're going to take a look at our hamstrings in a forward fold. I want you just to start and see how your pike flexibility feels. Standing, straight legs. Can you touch the floor? Can you get your knuckles down? Can you get your palms down? Just see how it feels, and then see how it feels at the end of this little section. We're going to come forward into like a downward dog, but don't worry about just pushing open the shoulders. We're just going to work on kind of walking back and forth, so straightening one leg, bending the other, and sort of just twisting into a little bit. If it feels too intense, just come walk back slightly, open the shoulders, pausing briefly in that straight leg position, and then go back down. Now, I got a few comments over the years that we never really get to do some calf stretching, and calf stretching is important, and it definitely can make an impact on your hamstring flexibility. So today, in a brand new edition of the full body flexibility, we're going to do some calf stretching. This one you will need some yoga blocks for, because you need some help to get a good calf stretch. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one block, and then we're going to place the other block at a little bit of an angle. And then when we come to now stretch our calves, we can place ourselves on that angle, and then keeping the leg locked, we can just lean over this front leg, thinking about pressing the heel down, and we should hopefully get quite a nice calf stretch. Now the calves are pretty stubborn, so we're going to hold this one for at least 60 seconds, but you may get some benefit from holding it longer. This is why we don't stretch calves, just because it's just a lot of standing around twiddling your thumbs. If you want to, we can perform some PNF. So we can think about trying to press the toes, press the balls of the feet into that yoga block. I don't want to see any lifting here, but just feeling that calf contract. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then when you exhale, just try to feel that you can then shift the hips further forward. So that's going to bring us into more of a calf stretch. Got over 15 seconds here. Should be quite a nice intense stretch, mainly in the belly of the calf. You might also feel it over the back of the knee as well, but certainly, you know, if this is a problem for you, if you're a runner, if you spend a lot of time on your feet, you'll find that your calves do impact you. All right, right leg is done. Let's do left leg now. So get that heel nice and wedged in there, and then just take that step forward. Keep that leg locked. It is important to keep the stretching leg straight. Let the heel sink down. First of all, let the intensity of the stretch kind of drop off a bit, and then we're going to do some of that PNF again. So try and press those toes into the box as hard as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice exhale. Shift the hips further forward. You will notice that I'm wearing like barefoot shoes, this will definitely work better if you are in barefoot or in barefoot shoes. Like if you have a chunk to your heel, then obviously that's going to affect how the stretch is. So another 10 seconds. Again, just trying to shift those hips as far forward as you can do. Cool, beautiful. Okay, shake those off. We'll now keep these yoga blocks out. You're going to want to use them as a little bit of a support just in front of you. So I want to get into like a single leg deadlift position. So slight bend in the knee, rear legs behind you. You're going to think about pushing down into the ground with the foot, and you're going to try and open up the hips as wide as possible. So lifting the top hip as high as you can, obviously using the hands to assist, and then you're going to try and then drop this left hip as low as possible. So I'm going to tilt this hip and then try and turn into my right leg. We're going to do 5 of these. We're not going to rush through them. Nice and slow, trying to open the hip as wide as possible. And then when you come back down, trying to close that hip into the bottom leg as tight as possible. So 5 in total. Should be feeling the kind of glute on the outside of your right leg working. You're going to get a nice sort of opening of the hip in the top position. And then as you drop into the bottom position, you're going to feel probably a little bit of an increase in the hamstring, but then also probably a stretch on the outside of this hip as well. So last one, nice and wide, back to the center. Take that left leg now, plant it. As I said, a little bit of bend's not a problem here. I'm going to lift that right leg up, work on rotating first, pushing into the ground, lifting the hip as high as you can, and then trying to close that door, pull the hip in towards the center. So shortening of the hip, squeezing the glute in the top, lengthening of that outside of the hip, stretching the hamstring in the bottom. It's 3, so 2 more. No rush here. Really feel it out. Last one. Drop into that front leg. Beautiful. We're going to come into now, chuck those blocks away, into a pike, and then we're just going to move in and out of this position, bending the legs, so squatting down as far as you can do. If it's here, that's fine. If it's all the way down to the bottom, fantastic. And then as we press back up, try to keep the stomach nice and tight with the thighs. Pause for a few seconds. We're going to do 5 of these in total, so not too many, before we take a short rest. Top position, try to reach as far down as you can. Back to the squat. So when you're in this squat, thighs should be touching our stomach as we go up. Try to keep the thighs and stomach in contact. And we'll do 1 more, just for luck. Hold it for just 10 seconds on this final rep. 3, 2, 1. And we can walk ourselves down into an upward dog position. So just straight arms, let the hips sink, let ourselves tilt from side to side. Get a little bit of the reverse position now. And just like before, we've done a couple of warm-up sets, and then we do a harder variation to finish. So the worst is yet to come, as they say. Okay, so we looked a little bit of how the hip rotation affects the hamstrings. Now we're going to take a look at the hip flexors as well. And this is where you're going to want to grab yourself those 2 yoga blocks. So we're going to give ourselves a bit of a target to do here. We're going to come into a seated pike position, and we're going to place these 2 yoga blocks apart. So we're going to start with the hips on the outside. Hands assisted, we're gonna lift, bring them in the center, lift, bring them out. Now it looks not too bad. This is gonna be determined basically by how far you put your hands up. You put them really far up, it becomes almost impossible. Put them further back, obviously I can lean to make it harder. You need to keep yourself honest here. We're gonna do 5 reps, in and out. Let's go. Up, out, to the side, and back to the center. So I think I can go a little bit further forward. I'll do it for you guys. Oh. That's 2, back to center, out. That's 3. 4. And then last one here. Oh, that was not fun at all. To make the suffering worse, we're gonna now take that newfound hip flexor strength and we're gonna use it in a pike position. So come back up, we're gonna fold forward, we're gonna go into our maximum level of pike. You need to be able to have hands on the floor here. So if you can't touch the floor, grab yourself some yoga blocks to support. We're gonna do 2 efforts of PNF. The first one, I want you to put both fists between your knees and you're gonna try and squeeze those fists as hard as you can. So we're gonna be contracting the adductors, the inside of the thigh. So 10 seconds, try to squeeze those fists. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to exhale. Go deeper into that stretch position. And then we're going to do one more effort of PNF here. I want you to try and press into the floor as hard as you can. I want you to try to push and lift your feet up off the ground. Again, feeling the hip flexors, the core contracting. 10 seconds. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, big exhale. Try to go deeper. Use your hands if you can do to pull yourself down. Suffer and enjoy that new range just for another 10 seconds or so. And we can walk down into the opposite position, into that upward dog. And then we're going to move on to the final part, which is the hip flexors, this hip extension. And I think we should start off with a little bit of knee flexion. So we're going to start with a quad. We have the rectus femoris, which covers both the knee and the hip. So we're going to start in a kneeling position, but we're going to place our one leg out in front. So let's start with the right leg folded behind, and then we're just going to lean back into this right hip. So it's kind of like a couch stretch, but we're doing it on the floor. You're going to think about squeezing the glute a little bit on this side. So I'm going to try and push the hip up, and we should feel a nice stretch over the quad, over the hip flexor of this side. Extra balance points if you want to just grab the other foot, place it on top, it pins the knee down a little bit, and we can think just about sitting in this nice hip flexor stretch position. If it feels a little uncomfortable on this foot, just grab that hand and place a little bit of a barrier, give yourself some support. But the main thing here is we're trying to feel a nice, strong stretch over the hip flexor. We're just going to hold this one for 60 seconds per side. We'll do this side, do the other side. And again, warm up with a few different movements before we get into the nasty duo at the end. Find with the hip flexors that they just need time to kind of peel away the layers so you can unlock them and feel a bit more flexible. So I think we've got about 10 more seconds here. So again, just making sure glutes are semi-active for most of it, just pushing that hip up to the sky. Okay, bring it out. Right leg goes straight this time. We're gonna take that left leg, so we're gonna kneel, tuck it nice and in, lean backwards, twist away slightly, squeeze the glutes, so I'm extending the hip. I've got a nice stretch.
And then if I can do, take that right leg and just helps to pin that knee down. So again, we're into basically a couch stretch here. Alternatively, you can do a couch stretch if you prefer. 60 seconds is the main thing. Always extending at the hips. Nice intense stretch over the quad. Nice deep breaths. Again, it can help if you like think about breathing down into that area that is being stretched. Alrighty. Okay, we can come out of that one. When they stay kneeling on this left leg, we're going to place that right leg now back behind. So we find ourselves into kind of like a lunge sort of position. But we're going to go onto the heels, onto the toes. And now we'll just try to figure out how it feels to extend this hip using the glutes. So I want to keep myself nice and upright here. I'm going to think about pushing the heel back, squeezing the quad. So I'm lifting my leg away from the ground, but I'm going to keep my hips exactly where they are. So I'm going to feel now a bit more stretch in this glute. If I can do extra brownie points, if you think about pressing your right hip down towards the ground. So lift up. I'm going to hold 5 seconds or so. And just relax back down to that starting position. We're going to do 3 lots of 10, so we've kind of already done the first 10 seconds, but this is really just about understanding how to use the glute on the back of the hip to extend the leg and push that hip down to the ground. So lift, try to lift that knee away from the floor, but keep the hip low. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Just relax. Shake it off a little bit. I'll do one last effort here. This one has to come like from basically the better you're able to understand this, the better stretch you'll get over the hip flexors. So I think pushing the heel back, squeezing the quad to lift the leg, and then squeezing the bum to try and push this hip down towards the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to swap sides. Right leg comes forward, left leg comes back. We're going to do the exact same thing. So on the toes of that back leg, and I think about keeping myself nice and upright with my hands in front. And then it's all about extending that back leg, but keeping the hip twisted, sort of twisting into this front leg and low. So again, 10 seconds, squeezing the glutes. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it off slightly. 2 more. So push the heel back, straighten the leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello. Okay, last one, 10 seconds. Lift that knee, push the hip down. Even think about pulling the belly button in can make this a little bit more intense. Focusing all on that hip extension. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to shift back into just a child's pose a second, just to kind of do something of the opposite. And then, as I've said before, we're basically doing a harder variation of the same 2. Okay. Let's start with the right side first. So we're going to come forward into a lunge. Nice lunge position. If you want to, I quite like this one to be fair, it's a bit of support of that front leg so I can get higher with my torso, a bit more extended. I'm going to go back and I reach for that foot. I'm going to try and keep this foot nice and close and then shift my hips
forward and down, forward towards the front foot. So what we can do now is just a rapid PNF. I'm going to try and kick into my hand. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as I exhale, I'm going to try and exhale and push my hip further forward. Again, some nice deep breaths here. And then we're going to finish up, just trying to pull that foot as close as you can towards the glute on that back leg. Just 10 seconds here. Nice deep breaths. And we're going to keep this going on the same side. So we're going to do all the same side, and then we're going to swap. Let that leg go back. I'm going to put it onto its toes. So I'm in now like a long lunge position, using the hand to assist. I'm thinking about doing that same contraction as before. So I'm push the heel back, squeeze the quad. So I lift the leg up. I'm going to try and focus on keeping my hips down nice and low to the ground. So I get a nice stretch over this hip flexor. I'm going to do 3 10-second holds. So keep lifting. 3, 2, 1. Drop back. And then what I'm going to try and do is basically try and make that lunge longer. So I'm going to wiggle this front foot out further forward if I can do. I'm going to do another 10 seconds. So chest upright, push back with the leg, try and straighten it, keep the hips low. Nice stretch over the hip flexor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay in that lunge, remember. Get some extra assistance on this side. Last one here, so 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come out of it slightly. I'm going to wiggle that front leg as far forward as you can. This is the extra brownie points. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm going to place just a block underneath. I'm going to slide into a little bit of a front split. We'll see how it feels, even though it's absolutely freezing. Try and sit somewhere comfortable just for another sort of 10 seconds or so. Oh, lovely. Okay. That was a bit more intense. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So get your support again. We're going to go into that lunge position. So now right leg forward, left leg back. I'm going to reach back, grab that left ankle, pull it nice and tight to your glutes. Just lean forward. Think about pushing that hip towards that front leg to a nice hip flexor stretch. You can let this right knee just drop out to the side a bit and just really think about pushing that hip down. But I'm using this other hand just to keep myself a bit more upright at the torso. Okay, so we can do that PNF again. So pressing the foot into the hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try and shift the hips further forward. And then we finish with 10 seconds of trying to pull that pull that foot as close to your glutes as you can do. Just the last 10 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. There, drop back. Grab yourself some support. So I'm going to come back into that long lunge. So on the toes of the back foot, same thing. We're going to try and keep ourselves upright, straighten that leg out, but try to keep the hips low. 10 seconds, 3 reps. We're already doing the first rep. Three, 2, 1. If you can do,
extend that front leg out, make that stance a little bit longer. Another 10 seconds, straighten the leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I got one final rep here before we're basically finished. So lift, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or shake it off a little bit. And like beforehand, if you want to slide into a bit of a front split a go, you can do so now on this left-hand side. Yoga blocks underneath just to help and see kind of where things are at. Oh. Another few seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think after all that, I'm going to finish up with just a nice, comfortable, child's pose. So sit back on the knees, hands overhead. Just relax and take a few breaths. But that has been the Christmas special, but just another long flexibility routine covering head to toe. We've got those 4 segments. We've got shoulders, hips, hamstrings, and hip flexors. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. I really do appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss out any more future videos, there's always that subscribe button as well. If you want to give a recommendation for a future follow along, I do read every single comment, so let me know in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to make it happen. Other than that, have a happy Christmas, have a great rest of your 2024, and I'll see you in 2025. Take it easy. Peace.